Well, thanks for joining everyone. Welcome to our Equipment Spotlight webinar. My name is Phoebe. I'm part of our customer success team here at SiteApp Pro, and I'll be leading today's session. I also have the wonderful Josh on the call, who's part of our support team, and he'll be able to answer your questions along the way. This webinar is going to provide you with a basic overview of our new equipment portal. So we're going to run through setting up your equipment categories, the new equipment profiles, maintenance lists, and the tasks list, how equipment profiles and forms connect, and also the equipment on mobile and QR codes. So jumping into today's agenda here, we're going to actually jump straight into a demo, and I'm going to show you all the new features of the equipment update, and we'll see them in action with use cases. Then we'll have a bit of time to just run through the Q&A questions that have popped up. The wonderful Josh will be answering them along the way, and we'll show you how to ask questions as we go. By all means, feel free to use the comment section as well. And then we'll also touch on the support resources available to you. So let's get into it. And for those of you who have used the equipment portal before within your accounts, and that'll probably be the majority of you on the call, what you're seeing here is definitely an instant visual change compared to what you're used to seeing. Now, previously, we did have those static equipment profiles, that kind of just very linear list. What we are able to see as part of the update are dynamic equipment profiles. We have categories on the left-hand side and custom categories. We're able to be more visual with our equipment profile. So we have imagery, we have custom tagging and status updates here. And then we also have a few different views here up at the top. So we have our equipment list, our maintenance list, our tasks list, and our settings. And we're going to start off in the settings section just to make sure that we're setting up all our settings correctly in all our custom categories. And you will remember from our previous module on equipment that you weren't able to set custom categories within the equipment. You're only able to select from that drop-down that we had in there. So as part of the update, you're able to set up completely customized categories for your equipment. Now, for those of you who already have pieces of equipment within your SiteApp Pro account, it will be important to come through in these categories, make sure that they're set up correctly, setting up any new categories you'd like, and we'll also touch on how to edit properties at an equipment level as well for all those older pieces of equipment that you had uploaded before the update. So in terms of creating your custom categories in this section here, you're able to add new categories and you can name them however you'd like to. So completely customized. You are also able to add subcategories like we can see in this example. So you can add different subcategories. In here we have our vehicles, and for example, we have a subcategory called company cars and one called trucks. And then you're also able to rename categories, clone categories, which clones the properties within the category that we'll touch on in a moment, move categories, and delete them. So when you're first opening up your account, it's important to come over to the settings section and make sure that you're happy with how your categories are set up. If we touch on this category, for example, so this is our vehicle category, we can see here all the details that make up this category. And these are essentially all the fields that pieces of equipment, new pieces of equipment within that category will capture. So we have the key information here for our vehicles, the identification, and in this update, we have a primary ID that you can set yourself. So previously, it was only the system ID that was set as the primary. Now you're able to fully customize and decide which primary ID you'd like to use. For vehicles, we're using the license plate number. You have ownership settings here and your technical details. So in terms of your usage and your compliance, mostly. With your categories, you can pop on to the little edit properties icon here. And this is where you can decide to capture additional fields within that category. There are certain categories that are locked here. So for example, with our make and model, we're not able to untick these. But for vehicles, say we'd also like to capture the year of manufacture, we can tick this button here. This is where we can come in and we can select our primary ID. So automatically it will be set to the system ID. For our vehicles, though, we would like to have our primary ID as a license plate number. And this is also the form of ID that the team will be able to see underneath the name of that piece of equipment within their mobile. We have the ownership details in here and the technical details. So this is where you can decide usage-wise what's important to measure. Is it one of these meters? Is it hours in use? And then you also have your compliance boxes in here. So for example, with my vehicles, it might be that I also want to measure my road user charge rate, my WOF, my COF, maybe also my registration and my next inspection date. And with all your existing categories, I do recommend doing this as a first step. And then of course, you're also able to add your own custom categories, or if you don't like the categories that would have automatically been pulled over, you're welcome to go ahead and edit those or remove them. So we'll go ahead and click Save on this one. Now, what's important to mention is property inheritance. So with those of you on the call who have already equipment profiles set up within your account, as you edit your categories, those existing equipment profiles won't automatically inherit those properties. And the reason we've done that is just so you don't lose any important information that you might have already added within those equipment profiles during this update. So it's only something that you're going to have to do one time. But what this means is it's important to come in and set your properties at a category level. But for those pieces of equipment that are already existing within your account, you'll also have to come over to your equipment list, open up the piece of equipment, go edit all details and configure properties. And this is where you just want to make sure that these properties align with the properties that are within your category. And again, this is only something you'll have to do one time, but it's important to do so just to make sure as well that if you are updating these fields via a form or via the profile, that you have all those fields available to you and the team. One other thing that's important to mention with categories, and this won't be relevant to everyone on the call, but if you ever come across a category that has a little dot next to it, it means that this is a category set at a group level. So this might be that you're working, for example, with a health and safety partner. It might be that you have a group level account and you are working within a company with multiple Signup Pro accounts. And if you do come across this little box here, the category box with a little dot in it, it means that you won't be able to edit the properties at an organization level because they're set at the group level. So if you do come across that, please reach out to your customer success manager or, reach out to your main admin person who has access to that group account or to your partner, and we can help you edit those properties. So we're going to go ahead and jump into our equipment list now. And this is the new view that you'll see where you have all your pieces of equipment listed. What we can see from left to right are new table details that you can configure. So you can use the little cog icon to decide what's relevant for you to see. There are also new ways of searching. So in this situation, we have near match, exact match, and you also have different primary IDs that you can search under. You have the status of the piece of equipment, so whether it's active, inactive, out of service, or archived. And for those that are archived, you can also access them by clicking the little archive folder down the bottom here. And you're also able to search by last site. So this is the last site a piece of equipment was interacted with upon. So for example, this might be through someone completing a task, someone completing a form referencing that piece of equipment, and it will update that location. If we jump into the equipment profiles, now with any older equipment profiles that you had in here before the update, you'll be able to see this little icon here, so they won't have an image attached to them. But what I would recommend doing is just clicking through to these equipment profiles and making sure that you're happy with all the details that are being captured. There are new fields in here that you can update. So for example, if we go edit all details, and we touched on configure properties, which is making sure that you have all the fields that you need available to you in this profile. But here we're able to add some new pieces of information under this company car. So for example, we have a new tagging system. So you're able to fully customize tags and you can use them to search pieces of equipment. With a car, for example, it might be that you want to tag it as diesel versus petrol, but you can decide what works best for you. We have the year of manufacture here that we selected within our properties. You have imagery that you're able to add, the equipment status, so active, inactive, out of service, or archived. The primary ID, so in this case, since it is a vehicle, it might be that we want to just make sure that the license plate number is selected in here instead of the system ID. We also have ownership, so whether it's owned by one of your suppliers, whether it's hired or leased, and if you do need to fill this out as well, your date of purchase, lease or hire. And then this is where we have the technical details. So you'll want to make sure that your odometer reading is up to date in this instance, your registration dates are up to date, expiries, any kind of last maintenance and date and last maintenance value are also up to date. What we can see in the equipment profile that's new is that this vehicle is actually assigned to a QR code up at the top here, and we're going to touch on QR codes and how they work in a moment. You also have the last known location. So this is what we saw in the filtering system, and this shows you the last location that this piece of equipment was interacted with upon. You have the main details in here, which were the ones that we just touched on. So just making sure that those are all up to date and pulling through correctly. And then we have a few different views in here. So we have our maintenance, our tasks, and our resources. And any upcoming tasks will also pop up in this area here. And we are going to touch on our maintenance and task views in a moment. Otherwise, coming back to our equipment list, you can deselect or select certain categories. So for example, it might be that you only want to be looking at the vehicles. So you have that option there as well. And you can still bulk upload your equipment. We have the CSV template in there. So please just follow these formatting rules and you'll be able to click upload and select that CSV file. Otherwise, in terms of adding new equipment, super easy here. We'll just go ahead and click add new equipment and we'll see those same pages pop up when we were editing those equipment profiles. So you have all your key details here. With new equipment, like we mentioned with the property inheritance laws, whatever category I select here, so if I select my vehicles, we'll see that it automatically changes, for example, the primary ID to a license plate number. And that's because we're adding a new piece of equipment after we had configured those property details. So adding in all your new pieces of equipment moving forward will be super simple, but please just make sure that you go back into your existing profiles and all those properties are set up correctly and all the technical and main details are also correct. We're going to jump into our maintenance list view now. And this is a view that wasn't previously available. So we have a maintenance list and a task list. And the maintenance list shows you only maintenance tasks associated with pieces of equipment. So we can see in the task type here, it's just maintenance down the right-hand side. If we look at our task list, these are all tasks associated with pieces of equipment. So we can see we have maintenance, compliance, corrective actions. We also have another few task types. And so what we're doing is we're expanding the ways in which tasks can be completed around pieces of equipment. Now, in the previous system, for each of your pieces of equipment, you would have set a maintenance cycle. And this was likely based around a date. And so what the system has done is if you have had those previous maintenance cycles, it's pulled them through as maintenance tasks. So we can see these planned maintenance tasks here. What you'll want to make sure to do is that you open up these tasks and you can now assign them to the correct persons or people. You can also assign them to the user group. And it's also just worth checking that all the details in here are correct and it's repeating how you'd need it to repeat. So in this case, we've just opened up this task relating to the Ford Ranger. We're just checking, okay, so all the details here are correct. You do have, again, that custom tagging. And we've assigned it to Amelia and our maintenance team. So now you're able to assign these tasks to multiple or one person. Also, you have your user groups down here up the bottom. And this will appear in these users' to-do lists. And then if we come through, we can see this is a repetitive task. It's based on the odometer reading. So this is where it becomes important. So we can see the current reading here. It's important to make sure that all the equipment details are correct within their profiles. So it's repeating every so-and-so kilometers. And we've made this task available a certain amount of kilometers before. So you're able to make these tasks available a certain time or a certain reading before for the team to be able to action ahead of time. We also have here activity notification settings. So these are notifications when the task is created and completed, and we have David's email, so you can pop in your email in here. And we've selected to notify these people when the task has been completed. You are also able to add files, so imagery, PDFs. This might also be a resource or a file from your library or a form to tasks. And as the team complete maintenance tasks from their mobile, they are also able to add these resources in, or images or folders from their end. We'll go ahead and click Save Changes. So it's important to make sure that all your maintenance tasks are repeating as they should be. We do have a couple of tasks here that are overdue. So what I will say is if you did have any tasks in your account where you had missed 2 maintenance dates, the system will create an overdue task for this. And this overdue task doesn't necessarily repeat. It's really there to prompt you to set a new maintenance cycle. So if you do have any overdue tasks, please just make sure that you remove them and set a new maintenance cycle for that piece of equipment so that it keeps repeating. Otherwise, when it comes to creating a new task here, we'll see those same details pop up. You'll select the piece of equipment that it's relevant for. So we can take our company car here, for example. You'll have the task name. So we have a couple of examples here. It might be the quarterly inspection, the description, the tags, so the same different fields that we saw previously. Say we want to assign this task to our maintenance team. And then this is where you'll be able to set the task as a one-off maintenance task or a repeating maintenance task. And if it is repeating, you can select which piece of information it's based on. So in this case, we have a vehicle here. Do we want it to be based off the odometer, maybe the registration date, maybe the last maintenance date? And you can really customize what these cycles look like. As we come over to our task list, as we mentioned, so the main difference between the two of these is that the task list will show you all tasks associated with a piece of equipment. So if we go to create new task, what we can see here is we can see a few different options that we can select from. So we have maintenance. So in this case, we define it as the scheduled servicing, repairs, and upkeep. We have an inspection here. So this could be routine checks and safety reviews. We have a corrective action, so fixes after a failed audit. Your team can also add corrective actions via their phone when they're doing vehicle check forms. And then we have compliance. So this could be anything tied to legal or regulatory compliance. So for example, renewing certificates. And then we've also added in here other categories, so anything that doesn't fit into the above. And this is where you're able to, like I mentioned, set those tasks. So it functions the same as your maintenance tasks do in terms of those fields, but you're able to set tasks for the team that sit outside of maintenance. So your maintenance list is a very clear view for only your maintenance tasks. Amazing. So we're going to jump into the dashboard really quickly here, and nothing new on the dashboard, but it's just worth mentioning that you do have your maintenance summary in this section. This will show you the top 10 unfinished maintenance tasks. Within this section, you can expand it, and this will also take you to the maintenance list. We're going to jump into our form section next because I want to show you a new answer type we have. Well, it was an answer type that we previously have, but we've made better as part of this update, and it's our maintenance value answer type. And the maintenance value answer type is a way of being able to update details within an equipment's profile without having to jump into that equipment. So you can add these questions in as part of your form. And what the team will see when they answer these questions is they'll select the piece of equipment that it relates to first, and then they'll be able to update whichever field you select here. So in this case, it's our odometer. It means that when the team are on their mobile, they'll be able to select the company car that we've been looking at and update the odometer reading. So this is great to bear in mind for any forms where you have to update those readings. Maybe they're doing a check, they're updating registration dates, warrants, and they're able to do that directly from their form instead of having to open the equipment profile. We're going to jump into our mobile now. So I'll go ahead and share my mobile screen here. And what you'll be able to see as you open the mobile is we have a new button here on our home screen, which is our Scan QR code button. And this is not something that was previously there. So as part of the update, we've released QR codes that you're able to purchase and attach to pieces of equipment. And what this will do is, as your team click into the Scan QR code button, it'll open their camera. They'll be able to scan that piece of equipment, so that QR code, and it will open up the equipment profile. As we go to the menu icon, we'll jump into equipment as well. And this is where we also see a bit of a new view of viewing the equipment. So we've moved away again from that static list that wasn't very visually pleasing. And we have here a few different views. So we have all our equipment, and we can see the equipment profiles with the imagery. We have our categories. So the team is really able to decide which category they'd like to view and which pieces of equipment. And then they also have the task view as well. So these are all the tasks, including maintenance tasks. If we come back over to equipment, we can see our forklift, for example, so a much more dynamic visual profile. This is where we're also able to come in and assign a QR code to a piece of equipment. So I'll show everyone what the QR codes look like in a moment. But this is where you'd be able to come into the equipment profile from your mobile. And again, you can set up this equipment profile within your computer, but you're able to come in here, click the three little dots, and go assign QR code. And in this case, we have a QR code already assigned, but we could remove this QR code and we could scan a new one to assign it with this vehicle. Then we can see in here, so we have our last known location. We have our about section for this equipment. So we have those tags there, heavy and warehouse. And then we have all the key information that the team will need. And this, again, depends upon the properties that you've selected for this piece of equipment or its category if it's a new piece of equipment. And then the team is able to create a task very easily, also able to view the tasks for this piece of equipment specifically, view the resources, and also a bit of a shortcut to the form library there for them. Amazing. So I'm going to just jump back into the presentation really quickly to speak to you about QR codes. So QR codes are part of this update. You're able to order QR codes through this website here. And with the QR codes, they're built to handle the elements. So they're UV resistant, waterproof, sticky enough to use across, 3 years worth of projects. So they're already built to last. If you'd like to order them, these are the details that you can follow through. And like I mentioned, what the QR code will do is that the team will be able to scan it and open that equipment profile and navigate through maybe completing a task or completing a form or viewing those details very easily. So that was it in terms of the update and everything that's included. I'm just conscious of the fact that we have a few people that have joined later on in the session. So this session is recorded as well. So for those of you who have jumped on, you will receive a recording of the session today. But what I'll do is I'll have a look at the Q&A, but feel free to just take a moment. If you do have any questions, please pop them in the Q&A that come to mind. Obviously, we will be able to support you after this webinar. So if nothing comes to mind, that's nothing to worry about either. But feel free to take a moment. If anyone has any questions or if we'd like to just touch on anything, feel free to go ahead and pop them in the Q&A section. Amazing. So we have a question in the chat about removing the ability to edit equipment from some staff. So the only staff members who will be able to edit pieces of equipment will be those which are either admin, managers, or tablet manager user roles. So your field workers, which are your day-to-day staff, have the level of access of completing their own forms within the app, and viewing everything else only. With your tablet managers, this is the most senior level of access in the app again only. And what you'll be able to see with tablet managers is if we just jump back into our app and we go to the equipment section here, they're able to add new pieces of equipment in here. So it's the same process that we did from our computer, the same fields, very simple and user-friendly, but it will be the tablet managers who have this level of access. And then managers and admin level users are able to access everything from the admin console. And like we stepped through, they'll be able to, if we just pop out of here and come over to equipment, they'll be able to add equipment in this section. So your field workers and your contractors won't be able to edit equipment. Any other questions? I will add, is there an area that shows where? Amazing. So in terms of the question we just have in the chat, and Julie, I can see you've put your hand up as well. So let's just tackle this question first. Is there an area that shows where a piece of equipment / vehicle is available? For example, is a digger free to use today? So not at the moment. We don't have a field that you can update, I guess, live to show that a piece of equipment is or is not available. You do have the last known location, which is new. You do have the tagging system, which is new. But otherwise, the team will be able to add and create tasks around a piece of equipment, but there's no necessarily a way of seeing whether it's available. You do have the status also. So for example, if you do have a piece of equipment that long-term is not available or you'd like to make inactive for a period of time, you can come over and you can edit the main details and you can update the status in here. So say it's inactive, you can move it into inactive or out of service. So that would probably be the closest thing at the moment. Julie, I know you had your hand up. Did you want us to touch on a question before we touch on a couple of more questions from the chat? Otherwise, you're welcome to drop it in the chat as well if that's easier. Feel free to, Julie. I'm not sure if I have a couple of co-hosts. I'm not sure if we can unmute you, but if we can't, please just feel free to use the chat to type your question in and we'll be able to get to it. Do non-SiteUp Pro QR codes work within the system? So not at the moment, it's just the SiteUp Pro QR codes that you'll be able to link in the system. And like I mentioned, that will open up the equipment profiles for the team. From Corinne here, when you do a maintenance vehicle, does it update the equipment automatically? Should it be a drop-down menu to choose the piece of equipment? So with the maintenance check on a vehicle, this relates to the maintenance value answer type. So if we just come back over into the mobile here, and let's bring up this maintenance answer type so I can give you an idea of what that looks like. So this is where your team will be able to edit a form. And this maintenance value answer type, if you remember, we had it connected to the odometer reading for vehicles. So we're able to select that piece of equipment. So say we select our company car as an example here, or one second, let's select our forklift. So that's a good example of making sure that your equipment profiles have the right properties selected. And we can see here the last recording of the odometer was this one here. What is the current recording? So this is how your team can make those updates.
Sorry, just unmuting myself so that I can help you out. Quite a few questions. Yeah, and additionally to that, Corinne, when you complete a form using the equipment list select from answer type, and the form is a maintenance form, that will update the last maintained date. So that tells the system that, yes, this is a form that is an equipment maintenance form. On top of that, it sees what piece of equipment you've selected, and it updates the last maintenance date field in that piece of equipment. So should update all those fields for you. Or you can, like Phoebe's saying, use the maintenance value answer type and update specific parts like the odometer and those other sections. Hope that answers your question.
Amazing. Thanks, Josh. I think we have
That's
another
okay.
question in the chat.
The app allows field workers to edit equipment compliance ownership and ID. Can we switch this off for some of our staff within the app? Oh, I didn't know that the compliance ownership could be edited. I think what I'll do, Alyssa, is I'll look into that for you and see if we can investigate that further. And after the webinar, I'll email you. We can go over it.
Amazing. Yeah, I think typically, as we mentioned above, it's only the tablet managers, and Josh, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, tablet managers, admin, and managers who are able to actually add equipment profiles and edit the profiles. But Alyssa, as Josh mentioned, will follow up with you about that one. Tasha here, what if you don't want it to change the last maintenance date, because when I update the odometer, it updates last maintenance date to that current day?
That's a great question. If you don't want it to update the last maintenance date and you only want it to update the odometer reading, I assume that's because it's like a vehicle pre-start checklist or something that you need to complete quite often. The best way to go about that would be making sure that your pre-start, if you look at the screen, we can see the form category. We want to change that to a beginning of day check as opposed to a maintenance check. So
Here we
again,
go.
that last maintenance date field only updates if the form category is set to maintenance. So if it's set to start of day, like for a pre-start, it won't update the last maintenance date. It'll just update that specific field that you've configured. So odometer or hub odometer or hours in use for like plant machinery and all that kind of stuff.
Amazing. We do have one more question from Nicola, and then I think we have a couple in our Q&A section as well. So Nicola, would be great to have the registration and WOF expiry dates on the dashboard instead of having them to add as a resource. So they are available within the profile of that piece of equipment. You can also, so previously, because you only had the WOF and the registration fields within that piece of equipment, any kind of additional certificates and permits or anything that you'd like to give a date to, you did have to add as a resource. So that's not the case any longer. So if we just jump out of here really quickly and we just head back over to an equipment profile, and we'll take our forklift as an example here. We can edit all the properties within this forklift that are available within the profile. So in this case, you can activate your registration and WOF expiry. So we have our registration date, we have our warrant of fitness expiry date, and we can select those, and then they'll be made available fields for the team to view. So we have here now, we can see our WOF expiry date has popped up as well. And like we previously mentioned, and just to reiterate this once more, is you are able to set these at a category level. So initially, please do set these at a category level. So with your categories here, you can go edit properties and make sure you're happy with all the properties that new pieces of equipment within this category will automatically inherit. But as I mentioned, with existing or older pieces of equipment that you had in your account before your update, they won't automatically inherit these properties. And the reason for that is that we wanted to make sure that no information that you had in your account went lost during the update. So any new pieces of equipment you add into these categories will inherit those. The older ones, please just come through to their equipment profiles like we just did with the forklift and go configure properties here. And those will just making sure that those match that category that you've updated as well. So I hope that answers that. And then Nicholas says, I've done this, but the expiry dates still do not show on the dashboard. Oh, okay. So for your dashboard, it is just the, so as we mentioned with the dashboard, it is just the 10 upcoming maintenance tasks or overdue maintenance tasks. So your due dates should show in here for your maintenance tasks, and your maintenance tasks, as a reminder, sit adjacent to your pieces of equipment and they're assigned to them. So I hope that answers the question.
so
I'm not sure if I missed anything.
I think I understand what you're asking, Nicola. In terms of your expiry dates, if you want those to appear on your dashboard, or you want to be reminded, or you want your team to be reminded for when those are about to expire, you can set up a task based on those expiry dates and be reminded for those. So it used to be these like automated tasks. Now the tasks are a bit more manual, but a lot more can't think of the word. A lot more customizable. That's the word. And so if you want to be reminded for registration, expiries, or WAFs, you can set up a task to repeat based on a cadence of time, or you can set up a one-off task for when that WAF will expire, and then it will appear on your dashboard. Or you could go the certificate and permits route, where you have that resource uploaded against the date. So you have a few ways of going about it.
Yep.
Hope that clarifies that.
Yeah, I guess just to give you an example as well, Nicola. So in this case, and Josh, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, I'd go task type, probably compliance. And then you have your WAF, all those details, if you need to assign it to someone or a group of people, and then you'll be able to either give it a due date or repeat it. And if it's repeating, I think you can pick warrant of fitness expiry date in this section here. Amazing. So I'm just conscious of the people who have also asked questions in the Q&A section. So we'll just jump into that very quickly, and then we can have a look at the chat once more. So from Hunter here, can we manually update equipment location? Say office-based staff need to update location of where equipment is rather than rely on the on-site staff. So in terms of the location, last known location, I don't believe you can manually update it. It is just based on the last time a piece of equipment was interacted with. Josh, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong with that one. Yep. And so
that's
that,
right, yeah.
Yeah, I think that could be a task, that could be a form. Could that be the scanning of a QR code as well, Josh?
Yeah. So
Yep.
when you scan the QR code for a piece of equipment, that updates the last known location.
Amazing. And you'll be able to see it on here, but you're not able to manually update it at the moment. Julia, I'm just conscious of your question. Julie, I'm just conscious of your question here. Did you end up sending it in the comments? We'll just jump back over and make sure that's answered. Otherwise, I'll also touch on for any follow-up questions. I know there's a lot of information from today's session, but for any follow-up questions, you will be able to email our support team as well. Amazing. Nicola, I've done this, but the expiry date still not shown on the dashboard. I think we ran through this. Being there are compliance issues.
Did you see Julie's question on how many areas on maintenance it will remind you of expiry? So before
No,
there was
sorry.
only one.
Yes.
That's okay.
Let's go for that.
So Julie, that's right. Basically, any kind of field that you can configure now. So that could be odometer readings, hub odometer, hours in use, that could be expiry dates. These can all now prompt different tasks. And whether you want them to be repeating or just one-off tasks, that is completely up to you. So you're right, before there was only one way to receive notifications for maintenance, and it would be configured to one very specific field. But now you can prompt all kinds of different tasks for your entire team based on all those different fields. So Phoebe, can you scroll down to where you can see the usage section and the technical details? Yeah, so all of these different fields can prompt tasks for different members of your team now. If that answers your question, it is quite a lot. But once it's all set up, the idea is that it's automated, and we're always looking to improve this as well. So if you find little gaps in how this would work for your team, we'd really love to know. You can let us know via support or your CSM what you're trying to do. And we will be releasing updates to this feature in the following months. So hopefully we can add some little bits and pieces there as well. Okay, and then we got a question from Tanya as well. Do you want to take that, Phoebes?
Let's have a look here. I think just jump back over to the Q&A. Amazing. So when I click on phone on the desktop, the screen is not coming up with the QR reader, but it is on my actual phone. So yep, that's correct. You won't be able to see the scan QR code from your web mobile view of SignUp Pro. And that's because it's just available on your phone so that you have the camera there to actually scan the QR code. So when you do create those equipment profiles from your computer, please then just use your phone to assign the QR codes to those different pieces of equipment. So again, to do that, you can come in here, you can go assign QR code, and then you can use your phone to scan that QR code. So it's just so that you're able to have the camera feature. Amazing. Perfect. I'll just jump back over into the chat just to make sure. Nicola, I know you had some follow-up here. Maybe tasks can show on the dashboard. That's great feedback. Please do let us know via support if you do have more follow-up questions. At the moment on the dashboard, as I mentioned, it is just the maintenance tasks. But what I will say is that now with all of your tasks, you are able to assign people, multiple people, singular people, or user groups to them, and it'll notify them. You can also select, like we saw, for you to be notified depending on their actions, so created and completed. So if that's something that you do need to be across, then please do use those notification and assignment settings in the meantime. Can you create the same task for multiple pieces of equipment? In this situation, you can, but what I will say is that you can't do it all in one go. So what you can see is that you can change to the piece of equipment, you can remove it, but you can't add multiple pieces of equipment to the same task. Corinne, some feedback here for the bulk upload, the date format.
Yeah, you emailed support yesterday about this. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, great feedback. I think we'll definitely be taking that on. Yeah, the bulk upload date formatting. We had to change that recently because as we've moved into North America, it used to be day, month. But obviously, American date formatting, you could go month, day. So there was some confusion around that. So we ended up kind of going for the month, Jan route. Yeah, clearly some formatting issues there. We can definitely look into that. I'll pass your feedback on.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I'm glad we ran through a few of those questions. As we just wrap this session up, I will say that our support email is open for all accounts and all of your questions. So please do reach out if you have any follow-up questions. As Josh mentioned as well, we will be reiterating this release later on this year. So your feedback is also really valuable to us. So please do send that through. Otherwise, for those of you that do have a customer success manager as part of your package, obviously you're able to work with them to make sure that everything's set up correctly and that all your questions are answered. Josh has released some amazing new articles in our resource center. So articles that go through all the details that we went through today and kind of just break it down step by step. So if you do ever want to use those to reference them in the future, then please jump into the resource center. We will slowly also be uploading more videos that run through the equipment update. And then we also have the QR codes website there as well. So for any of you that would like to order QR codes, then please head to that website. We are working with an external partner to get these ordered and created. So please do bear that in mind, but very happy to answer any questions you all have and appreciate you making the time today.